Fallout 3, a legendary game in terms of its reputation and impact that it had on the gaming world. Released in 2008 for the 360 and PlayStation 3, it is widely known as one of the greatest RPGs of all time. Created by Bethesda, for its time, it sold well, 12.4 million copies in total, which was more than Bethesda's previous title, Oblivion. On Metacritic, critics gave it a score of 93 out of 100, and users gave it an 8.2. With these type of stats, it should be an easy game to recommend, but despite all these scores, it's actually incredibly divisive. There have been so many videos on YouTube that really break the game down, referring to it as a weak entry to the series. Although the game has had many critics, as well as those who despise its entry, stating it did harm to the story, sabotaged the lore, and took the Fallout brand away from its identity, it's fair to say it did succeed in many aspects. You see, the original Fallout series was created by Tim Kaine, and originally developed by Interplay Entertainment. It started as a spiritual successor to a 1988 game called Wasteland. The original Fallout game released in 1997, and a sequel arrived shortly after. These games had a top-down computer role-playing game setup and were known for their clever writing, immersive lore-rich worlds, and deep role-playing mechanics. Unfortunately, Interplay went bankrupt in 2004, and Bethesda acquired the rights to the Fallout IP shortly after. This showed a huge change in the series, with the formula changed from the original top-down approach to a first-person open-world setting with the famous Bethesda formula. Although many did not enjoy the new game, overall, this elevated the Fallout brand from a small IP to one of the most recognized and beloved IPs in the entire gaming world. In today's video, I want to discuss the positives around the release, why it was so special, and why this game was so important to the Fallout brand. Ahead of the confirmed remaster, I want to take time to look back and identify what made the game so unique and show new potential players why they should be excited and show veteran players why we fell in love with this game in the first place. So to start with, this game revolutionized the entire Fallout series, saved it from extinction, and introduced an entirely new fan base to the series. The Fallout brand had a dedicated following, but it was not the huge following that Bethesda had at the same time. In 2008, Bethesda were at their peak, having released both Morrowind and Oblivion to universal acclaim. With Oblivion selling over 10 million copies and winning Game of the Year, Bethesda were a studio that had a huge following with a dedicated fanbase made up of millions. By taking the Fallout brand and adding it to their portfolio, it introduced millions of new gamers to the Fallout brand. By adding the game to consoles, it enhanced its reputation even further. After Bethesda released Fallout 3, immediately the brand moved from almost being lost forever to one of the biggest brands in gaming. Such was Bethesda's pull at that time. Fallout 3 marked a dramatic shift from the isometric CRPG style of the original Fallout games to a fully 3D first/third-person open-world RPG. This made the series accessible to a whole new generation, without abandoning the tone and themes that defined the original games. Oblivion with guns, within a new world, if you will. Interest was strong, and overnight Fallout blew up, introducing an entire new audience to its world. So this was a huge shift, and although some disliked it, this saved the series. One of the greatest aspects of the game was its open world. Bethesda crafted a detailed and atmospheric capital wasteland, filled with haunting ruins, mutated creatures, and pockets of human civilization. The sense of isolation, danger, and discovery created a strong emotional tone that drew players in. The open world was essentially split into two sections, one half being a barren wasteland of open plains, and the other being the ruins of the capital, Washington, D.C. The city was very dense, with hundreds of things to find in a very confined area. The skyscrapers and devastation towered over the player, and in order to get around, players often had to go through dark subways, ruined interiors, or tight spaces. It really captured the feeling of delving through historic ruins, and it offered so much that it was almost overwhelming. In the wastes, you often would find many locations spread out from one another. What made this open world so special was that every location was memorable, had a story, and was unique. There was very little filler content, and the player was always rewarded for exploring with a unique experience. The environmental storytelling, collapsed buildings, skeletons, old holotapes made the world feel alive and decayed at the same time. The music ambiance was also incredible. The haunting ambient soundtrack by Einon Zur, which you can hear in the background now, made you feel alone and matched the dark grey atmosphere of the world. Radio stations like Galaxy News Radio gave life to the world with music, news, and colourful characters like Freedog. The music was based on years past to make you feel like it was long since forgotten. Freedog often provided updated news as the player completed activities in the world, which made you feel like your actions were recognized. And when you were lonely in this very dangerous dark world, Freedog's voice over the radio made you feel thankful for some type of company. Overall, it did change the tone of the previous Fallout games, which were more colourful and offered many factions who had rebuilt the world, but Fallout 3 nailed the tone that it went for. For many players, myself included, this was our first experience into a post-apocalyptic open world, and it left an impression. Oh, real quick, I just want to shout out a fellow creator who creates comic books. He's currently offering his comic completely for free online to anyone who has interest in it. Kerguelen is a story written by Edgar Anderson, and it's based in a futuristic post-apocalyptic world too, so just like Fallout. As I said, it's completely free, and Edgar just wants to get his work out there to anyone who has interest in this type of content. In the distant future, in an unforgiving land, a merchant named Mr. Clay hires a group of mercenaries. The mercenaries are tasked with tracking down a bandit gang that has been raiding his caravans. What starts out as an ordinary job for the mercenaries soon turns into a web of intrigue and adventure, far beyond anything they've ever faced before. Now, I've read through the whole comic and I highly recommend checking it out. To download it, just go to the website in the description below and follow it to the page and download the comic. Like I said, it's completely free. If you enjoy Fallout, you should enjoy this too. Check it out if you have time. Now, in regards to Fallout 3, the side quests and events that were found in this world matched its bleak dark tone, and it was some of Bethesda's best work. In this game, Bethesda went for less on quantity and more for quality. Oblivion had over 200 side quests, whereas Fallout 3 only had around 40, but they were all long, memorable, and had decision making with actual consequences. To give an example, Tenpenny Tower had an incredible storyline with a plot that involved a dispute between ghouls and humans, with the ghouls trying to find shelter in the tower. You are tasked to deal with this and take out the ghouls in their hideout. If you find them, they'll offer you the chance to wipe out the humans instead. There's even a third option where they can live happily together, quote unquote. Then you have the Tranquility Lane quest, the slavers, the android who didn't know they were an android, the brother who ran away and joined a group of cannibals. So many great plot lines, but each also involved a healthy amount of decision making with real consequences. Players had unprecedented freedom. You could blow up a town. You could save or ignore people. You could follow the main quest or ignore it entirely. The open-ended design allowed for emergent storytelling, making each player's journey feel unique. Not only were the marked quests some of Bethesda's best, but the unmarked ones were too. This was thanks to the dungeon design in Fallout 3. You see, in Oblivion, Bethesda used procedural generation when it came to creating dungeons, which a human would then give a once-over. Even in the recent remaster of Oblivion, you can see how repetitive these dungeons become, with all looking very similar. Fallout 3 was the first new game that Bethesda hired level designers to make each dungeon unique and handcraft them. I recently did an interview with Jonah, who worked on Skyrim, and he explains that really well if you want to check out that interview. Fallout 3 has 163 locations for the player to find, most having interiors to explore, but each was unique and left an impression. Locations like the Dunwich Building, the Gary Vault, Deathclaw Sanctuary, they didn't have set stories, but they used environmental storytelling. Players could read terminals, find notes, and sort of try to piece together what happened here in the past, but it still left some mystery. Players could even visit Bethesda studios in the game. As a result, you felt like you were exploring locations long since lost to time, and it represented a massive step up from Bethesda. Players wanted to explore the entire map because they always found something special. It is easily one of Bethesda's best open worlds. The game also offered great role-playing and decision-making. There was a morality system, or called Karma, that added depth. Your choices shaped how NPCs reacted to you, giving weight to what you decided to do. This made players carefully consider their actions. As an example, I was a do-gooder. I was a hero in every single town. My sister, when she played through, was the devil. She basically wiped out Megaton, attacked everyone on sight, and she was known as like the devil of the wasteland. NPCs cowered in fear when she approached them. I wonder what that says about her. Anyway, the game used the special system and perk points leveling up system, so leveling up felt rewarding. Stats made a difference in your respective skill tree, and the perks added unique playstyles. The animal friend allowed you to tame animals, or even get them to fight by your side. The mysterious stranger would jump in to assist you in battle. Each perk was special and offered great replayability, and a lot of them came through in dialogue options. Although some don't like how the persuade option is used in Fallout 3, basically it's based on percentages, so no matter how low your skill is, you can eventually get through. So if you fail a dialogue persuasion, just reload and reload and reload till you get it right. You could also use things like your explosives level, science, and other stats in the game, which meant that you had to constantly consider where you wanted to allocate points. Perks also had the same impact. Overall, although some will say it stripped away a lot from the previous Fallout games, they offered a lot more role-playing stats. The leveling system in Fallout 3 offered just enough to not overwhelm new players and make it feel like a true RPG. The Vault-Tec Assisted Targeting System, or VATS for short, was a clever hybrid of real-time and turn-based combat. It allowed strategic targeting of enemy limbs and gave a cinematic, glory fare to encounters, appealing to both action and RPG fans. Bethesda also managed to show off the Fallout lore. Deeply rooted in retrofuturism, a 1950s aesthetic projected into a nuclear dystopia. Terminals, holotapes, and books filled the world with backstory, making exploration rewarding beyond loot. It respected the tone and the lore of the original games, whilst expanding it meaningfully. The game had enemies like feral ghouls, mole rats, and deathclaws, but showed them in the new 3D environments. It had Nuka-Cola, the Brotherhood of Steel, the Enclave, Salisbury Steaks, bobbleheads. It took the world of Fallout and leaned so heavily into its lore and showed it in such a way that it took off. Nowadays, you see so many people with Fallout decor all over their home, and for most of these people, Fallout 3 was their first game that introduced them to the whole Fallout lore. Bethesda managed to elevate the lore and make it more popular than ever. Themes of survival, loss, and rebuilding really struck a chord with players. It's about finding purpose in a broken world, something deeply human and universally relatable. It is also historic because this game led to Fallout New Vegas, which is one of the greatest games of all time, made by Obsidian. But Bethesda laid all the groundwork, including the engine, the assets, and this allowed Obsidian to just focus on what they do best, writing and storytelling. Without Fallout 3, there would be no Fallout New Vegas. Fallout 3 hit a sweet spot. It was a technical leap, a reinvention of a classic series, and a bold experiment in narrative and world building. It helped shape the modern open world RPG genre and gave players an experience that felt vast, personal, and unforgettable. Fallout was on the brink of extinction, and not only did Bethesda bring it back to life, but they also elevated it to new heights. It isn't everyone's cup of tea. It was certainly different in many aspects, but the most important thing is that it made Fallout mainstream. So many gamers now love this series and its world's lore, and had Bethesda not made this game, this might never have happened. Now, Fallout 3 doesn't have the amazing writing of Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 1 or 2. It doesn't have the sleek, smooth gameplay of Fallout 4, or the online capabilities of Fallout 76. It is lacking in many things, but what it represented was huge. It repopularized the Fallout series. It introduced new players to its world and lore and showed some of Bethesda's best work in terms of world building, quest writing, and dungeon design. It was revolutionary not only for the Fallout brand, but also for Bethesda as a studio. But more importantly, for many people like myself, it was our first Fallout game. Our first time in that post-apocalyptic setting. Our first time experiencing the magic of the world of Fallout. It's far from the perfect game, but for what it meant for many gaming fans like myself, it will always hold a special place in our hearts. It is for all these reasons that Fallout 3 was such an iconic game when it came out. And now, a whole new set of new players will get to experience this classic again once the remaster finally arrives. But anyway, that's it for this one, but what do you guys think? Did you enjoy Fallout 3? Or did you not like it at all? And why? And do you have any memorable stories that you can share from Fallout 3? And are you looking forward to the remaster? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please give it the thumbs up. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'm AvGaming, where we do video game analysis, identifying what makes great games great and what could make good games great as well. Thanks for watching. Av out.